Good morning, Honorable Minister of Aviation. Good morning, CEOs of agencies under the ministry. Good morning, members of the Presidential Communication team. Good morning, my colleagues, gentlemen of the press. Still on infrastructure development as the theme for this month's special briefings coordinated by the Presidential Communication team. This morning the focus will be on the aviation sector. And as you know, for the past 6 years, the sector also has recorded a lot of feats and achievements. The recent approval for the designation of 4 international airports, the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, in Lagos, Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport in Abuja, Port Harcourt Airport, and Malam Aminu Kano Airport, as special economic zones, highlights efforts by the Ministry of Aviation to attract more international and domestic airlines into the Nigerian aviation industry, and also fast-track the upgrade and development of new infrastructure facilities at the airports. This morning, the driver of these values, Senator Hadi Sirika, will speak to representatives of local and international media here on the status of the implementation plan for the approval received to designate the 4 airports as special economic zones. He will also give an update on infrastructural projects going on in the aviation sector, as well as key projects that in a very short while we'll begin to see the results. And of course, he will speak on the latest developments regarding the launch of the new carrier. On this note, it's my pleasure to invite the Honorable Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, to the podium here to speak with us for about 20-30 minutes, after which he will take questions from media representatives. Honorable Minister.
Okay. Well, the Senior Special Advisor to Mr. President, as our host, the Permanent Secretary Civil Aviation Ministry, the gentleman from the Presidential Villa, President's Office, who organized all of this, my colleagues, and my friends, gentlemen of the media, good morning. Well, I had hoped that I would find a means to protect the presentation because it's done in a PowerPoint, so we can speak to the pages, but regardless, I'll go through it and then we'll have the opportunity to hand over the documents to you as it is. Well, so here we are. When we came in 2015, the APC government in power under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, we thought that we should first and foremost check up and see what the industry is doing in civil aviation. And we did that. We commissioned some diagnostic study of the industry. We didn't arrogate to ourselves the wisdom and the knowledge of the industry. So some reports were done in the past, very many of them, IOS reports, and so on and so forth. We did our own, commissioned consultants, and we conducted stakeholder conferences. One of them was here in Abuja, and we come up with a roadmap. And that roadmap is a result of our consultation with stakeholders and with the industry. So in our findings, we found out too many things are wrong with the sector at the time that we came in. And we came in when, of course, the country was in recession. Or immediately after we entered, it went deep into recession. So of course there was an inadequate security, safety and surveillance equipment. And you know that in civil aviation our major concern is how very safe and secure you depart point A and arrive at point B and everything in between. This is our primary concern, it's our focus. It is what we want to do, not anything else. Yes, we may have fantastic terminal buildings that looks great, but you have to arrive there safely and be secured before you're able to enjoy those terminal buildings. In other words, airports used to be just landing strips, but they have moved where they become cities and become businesses around. But in all of that, even in their becoming cities, our major focus is to depart point A, arrive point B in a very safe manner. So all of the things that we've been doing, all of the energy that President Muhammad Buhari has been pushing into civil aviation and the money is actually to attend to those things that will make you safe, secure when you depart point A and arrive point B. I am putting this forward so that we understand where we're coming from, and the achievements and the things that we've done are all around this focus. So of course, the infrastructure has decayed and become very obsolete. We have a large number of unemployed and trained professionals Nigerian aviators. There was high debt profile of domestic airlines. There was an aging and over-bloated workforce in the aviation agencies. There was extreme difficulty in accessing foreign exchange. Here, because every single thing in civil aviation is dollarized, if you like. It is dollar denominated. We don't produce a pin of aeroplane, for example. We don't have any where that you produce rivets, you know, the tiniest fastener to aircraft skin. We don't produce. So it's dollarized, including the Jet A1. We don't produce. So everything is dollar denominated. And this dollar is so scarce that we're competing against education, water supply, healthcare, and so on and so forth. Plus the compounding problem that everybody thinks that aviation is elitist. I will show how it is not elitist here in due course. So of course, poor and intolerable condition of airport facilities and equipment, long waiting time, check-in, and so on and so forth, and high cost of funds and shrinking capital markets. Of course, in Nigeria is the only country, perhaps that I know, that is of this size of economy, 450 billion GDP, 200 million people, 923,766 square kilometers of land, that the economy will be operated at 23% per annum interest rate from banks. It simply will not support it, especially in an industry in aviation where the profit margin is 5%. Not minding the capacity of civil aviation to develop and double 2 times in every 15 years, which is settled fact. So of course, rising price and scarcity of Jet A1, which is the fuel that we use, import duties on aircraft and engine and spares, and of course, budgetary constraints. My colleagues here from the Villa understand when I say we are constrained with budgets. Of course, the government is making so little. So there's so little to share to all of us. And even if I were the president somehow I'm confronted with cholera outbreak somewhere, my attention will go there, certainly. So it's not because they hate civil aviation, it's because that's the condition we found ourselves. So I said in the past we developed a roadmap arising from what we did, the studies. And we come up that we do need a very efficient, robust carrier that is private sector led and driven, that will speak and agree and work with the population of Nigeria, the market of 200 million people, which is at the center of Africa. It is equidistant from all locations. You see, geography and population and the market creates the enabling environment for an airline to grow. And Nigeria, by providence, is God-gifted and God-given. All of these attributes sitting there, but they remain a potential. Then we thought that we should develop an agro-air cargo terminals that will be exporting and also transporting within the country perishable items, especially those that are like medicines, like food, tomato, chili, onions, and so on. Because if you are to put tomatoes from Concession, for example, to take them to Port Harcourt, it takes 28 hours to go there, and half of it will perish. And you sell it for peanuts. If you are to fly it to Port Harcourt, it will take you 55 minutes to get there. It will go there fresh. As a matter of fact, you can pluck tomato from Concession and have it on your dinner table in London. And a handful of tomatoes in London is 10 pounds. A whole basket in my village during the harvest is 2,000 naira. And we know how many handfuls will make a basket, and we know how much the exchange rate is when you do the math. So it's a huge opportunity to ginger up our economy, to create exports, to earn foreign exchange, to give knowledge to our people, to transfer technology, and to keep people busy and employ our youth through the agro-allied cargo terminals. Then, of course, we thought that part of the roadmap number 3 is to establish a maintenance, repair, and overhaul center or facility. I hear a lot of people saying that we have hangars. Yes, we do. One of them is even able to do a sea check in aero contractors, yes, and that is also an achievement. But the kind of facility that we're talking about, it is not a hangar that takes 1 airplane at a time, or 2 airplanes at a time, or 3 aircraft at a time. No. We're looking at a facility that can go from A to Z of maintenance, wide-body, high-capacity airplanes, because in continental Africa, those that I know and I'm aware of that have serious MROs, maintenance, repair, and overhaul facilities, is Ethiopia, but that is dedicated to Ethiopian Airlines. They have over 150 airplanes. They are busy themselves. So if an Arik or an Airpeace or an Azman or a Maxia wants to send their engines, or a Dania or a Bomber into Ethiopia, they'll have to follow the queue. They have to wait to have a space to put in their engines and get it so they can come back. And then their airplane will be on ground. The next one is in Royal Air Morocco, in Morocco, which is owned by Air France. So because of cheap labor in Africa, they would do it in Morocco using the Moroccan nationals as cheap labor. They would tend to Air France first, tend to Royal Air Morocco before they tend to us in Nigeria. Another one is in Egypt, and they're all not in our subcontinent. The next one is in Egypt. The one in Egypt also, they have Egypt Air. They have over 100 airplanes, and they have ordered over 100 airplanes again, which they're getting supplied, I think, at a rate of 1 or 2 per month. So we don't have anywhere to take our airplanes to for maintenance. And around Nigeria and around West and Central African sub-region, we have about, the last count I had was about 1,300 airplanes, but now I think it's about 2,000 airplanes. On the register of NCAA alone, we have about 427 aircraft on our register here in Nigeria. So you could see in a market where you have 2,000 airplanes, we all have to take them to Europe, or to Americas, or to the Far East, To ferry one airplane, wide-body, high-capacity airplane, to ferry it for maintenance alone, just to ferry it, take it there, is $250,000, the list, and bring it back as well. So this maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility is a very serious business. Once it's done, to transfer technology, employ people massively, and of course save foreign exchange and make our businesses more efficient. So on every single airplane that will have to go for maintenance, if it is once a year, and you have 10 of them, maybe you're an airpiece, you have 10 airplanes, we are saving you 250,000 times 2, which is 500,000 times 10 in 1 year, which is $5 million. So when people hear it, because they don't understand it, they think that, okay, no. And they think also we're talking about the small facilities that we have. Those are needed also. And those we encourage to grow as well, including that in Akwa Ibom. Then the next item on the roadmap is to establish a leasing company. We found out that, look, you cannot go to market and take loan at 23% and expect to make profit. Even if it's akara you are making. It simply won't work. Try anything that you think of and that you start with a negative 23% and see if you will make a profit. And aviation consistently, we keep saying that the business of civil aviation, especially that of airline, it has been proven that the profit margin, if you do it very, very well and have world class, the margin is 5%. It's very difficult. In Nigeria, perhaps you can pump it up to about 10% because of our own peculiarities. Everybody is a big man. Everybody wants to fly in a first class. And he has to pay. We all did it. Even in school, we were flying business class, claiming to be big men at that time. And so that's the nature of our people, and they will be able to afford. And so we thought that we should have a leasing company where you can access equipment. You can perhaps also find financing and leasing of aircraft and equipment at a very, very affordable rate that you can be able to do business in civil aviation. Then we thought also that it is high time that we begin to turn our airports into cities. So we do need aerotropolis, or airport city in other words. Like I said, there are no longer points of landing and taking off. I had spoken severally, and part of where I had spoken had caused people to think and to ponder. Has anybody thought of what is the purpose of having a 1.5 kilometer long duty-free in Dubai? More than 70% of you have been to Dubai, and you notice that there is a long duty-free in Dubai. It's 1.5 kilometers, and they're still adding. Before they even grew to this capacity, in 2004, December 24th, eve of Christmas 2004, they made duty-free sales in that airport in Dubai of $5 million in one night. $5 million. This is just because I remember my good friend Tulu Ogulesi, and I want to buy him a perfume or chocolate, for Amina Gamawa, for example. So this is, yes, Amina, because we know that you need chocolates. Girls chop chocolates, and boys use perfume, cologne. So you create $5 million worth of activity, economic activity in one night from duty-free alone. Now we know we can go to airport and watch a movie. We know we can go to airport and have lunch. We know we can go to airport and have spa and so on and so forth. Play squash, all in airports. And the reason why we also need to do it is because we don't want to end up with another Ikeja. No. Because Ikeja was designed to have a new city with a new headquarters of Lagos State and a new airport and so on and so forth. But because we do not control what happens around the airport, today Ikeja has become a slum. We are battling, Rabi Odudu has been battling with people that have encroached into our land and taken over the airport and taken over the area. The whole area has become an eyesore. So we need to control it by creating these aerotropolis cities around airports. Then next is that we have to establish an aerospace university. We started this journey in civil aviation with countries like Brazil, We started our own in Zaria in 1963, partnership between UNDP, yes, Al-Kali, UNDP, Nigerian government. And since then, perhaps that's the year the director was born, Captain Kali Modibo. Since then till now, we don't produce even rivets as a nation. But Brazil, that we started together, is producing aircraft of all kinds. So we think that we should have a university to go deeply into research and development and focus on research and development and create those opportunities within our sector. Turn out those young men and women with good brains to go into the venture of aerospace, the venture of aviation, and make a lot of money and earn income for our country and develop our capacity and change the narratives. And believe me, civil aviation alone can sustain an economy. Ethiopia is half Nigeria. There are 85 million people. The major source of income and economy is Ethiopian Airlines. The maintenance, the training, the airline, the cargo, everything. So a civil aviation can actually run an economy. Depends on how you do it. But we see that we are not producing anything out of civil aviation. Also, compounded the problem is that most of our aviation ventures, once they are started in Nigeria, they die. The pressmen, you always ask me, Hassan, you always ask me that why is it that there is higher rate of airlines? They come up and then they go down. We attribute that to lack of capacity to be able to manage those airlines, part of the problems. But you are a pilot or you are an aircraft engineer, it does not necessarily make you the best manager of civil aviation business. So this university is Pan-African. We are going to establish an association and partnership with ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, with other friendly countries, and some universities around the world, like Cranfield, like Embry-Riddle in the US, and so on and so forth. So to be a world-class university, we've got a small team working on it now. The secretary is Professor Mansour. We've taken our concept note to Nigerian University Commission and is being tended to. And I think this university will come up very soon before the end of the year. And the Minister for Abuja has given us land. It will be half and half, like coffee. It will be half online and half real time. So we also thought that the training institution in Zaria, which was at the beginning and up till now producing or getting people to acquire certain skills and competencies and capacities as pilots, as engineers, as air traffic controllers, as cabin crew, firefighters, etc., will upgrade that institution to become a regional training center of excellence for the continent. Then also we thought that our airports, we should designate them to become special economic zones, starting with the big four and expanding as we grow and as business grows. Mala Nasser El-Fari has shown tremendous amount of interest in this, and I think he has committed Kaduna State government by far more than any other state in this direction. And I think he would achieve it, and it will also be a game changer. We've seen also that there are remotely piloted aircraft now, or unmanned airplanes, or aircraft as it is, or drones as you may call them. They are becoming a phenomenon of their own. Everybody is flying drones now. They are for good uses. You fly drones now to check pipeline, vandalization or breakage or integrity test. You are flying drones now to send medicines to places, to order for pizza, to send birthday gifts, and so on and so forth. So very soon that we find our airspace dotted with all this craft. And managing them alone will become such a huge challenge because they will be operating around within the airspace and somebody need to control them. So we thought that we should create a policy. The last time I spoke on drones, I gave an example of a friend of mine who was flying drones about 5 miles away from the villa. No, 3 miles from the villa. As a matter of fact, as the crowd flies, he's just about a kilometer away from the villa in the polo club here behind. He was flying it at about 500 feet above ground level, and he was flying it towards the airport, which is the western side of the city, and he was flying it at about 65 kilometers an hour. Some of these drones are also big enough to carry load like 5 kg, 10 kg or more. If this gentleman is just flying the drone around and there's an inbound airplane or an airplane that's going out, taking off, he could hit the airplane, get ingested in the engine and cause disaster. And don't say it is not going to happen. Inshallah, it will not happen in Nigeria and anywhere. But we've seen examples of it in the UK. It hits British Airways. We've seen it also in the US and many other places. So we thought that we should develop a policy towards that remotely piloted aircraft to have them organized and regulated. When Twitter was running in Nigeria, they took about 8 days condemning us that we want to regulate drones. It's not done anywhere, blah, blah, blah. You can walk in and buy a drone and fly it. Well, thank goodness that we are policy makers and we'll make those policies that will keep our country safe and secure. And apologize to them because they elected us to be responsible for their lives and property. So that policy is going to be a very friendly policy, very simple. Just like to walk in and buy the drone, you'll also be able to follow those rules and regulations, even if you are an enthusiast. We thought that there are too many expatriates also in Nigeria. We should not kick them out, or we should only take those that we need and create a policy where Nigerians will take over. And accident investigation. Part of our roadmap is that we want to make this accident investigation a multi-model one, not necessarily peculiar and focused on accidents in aviation or civil aviation. So we've got currently now a very competent commissioner in charge, Engineer Akin Olateru, and we thought that that AIB should include maritime, aviation sector at least, so that we will cover every aspect of transportation except perhaps roads. But we'll do rail, maritime, and aviation. So where are we on the roadmap? This is the interest. I mean, I've now said the robust part of what we're doing as a roadmap. And of course, I don't want to go into the need of all of them because I've explained. Number one, on the national carrier. And please also do me justice. Every time that I speak, you choose one or two things, either the national carrier or the concession of the airport, and you make it topical. I think we've spoken so much about that, okay? Just trust me, fellow Nigerians, that we'll be able to deliver a very robust carrier that will be for the size of our economy. And we're on course. We have gone past almost the project development phase, which we did, completed with development of OBC, which is the outline business case. And we got a compliance certificate from the ICRC, which is the regulator of all of this. And then we went to FEC, which is the Federal Executive Council with our OBC. And FEC told us to go back and rework the OBC and bring it back. It's our intention that we'll take the OBC back to FEC, perhaps next Wednesday, or then Wednesday after next. And if it's approved, then of course we will just go to market. And there's huge interest in this because they understand what the Nigerian market is doing. Then of course we've already designated our 4 airports. We achieved that as export processing zone, and you know that it will create around the airport a more efficient, business-friendly trade environment, with less bureaucracy on one side, and of course red tapeism, because of the associated fiscal incentives and packages that the Ministry of Trade and Investment, Ministry of Investment, Trade and Ministry of Trade and Investment had done. So also it will also have the capacity to attract international world-class companies that are into civil aviation, because they have more friendly atmosphere to do so. And all of the incentives given will now attract more investments, like a tax holiday and so on. And the FDIs will improve and increase. And the overall ease of doing business, which the Office of the Vice President, His Excellency, has been doing tremendously very well in this regard. Everybody will agree to us that it's much easier now to do business in Nigeria than before. It will also help us to fast-track the upgrade and development of new infrastructure facilities around the airport. And it will also allow us to harness socio-economic benefits that are all around civil aviation industry. So Mr. President has approved this on 17th of May 2021. So we're on our way implementing the next steps in association with NEVSA, the agency doing it. So I'll have to run quickly because I know that I will be running out of time. But then, airport concession, which is our next one. Where are we? We have developed an OBC, an outline business case. We have received the certificate from ICRC. And we're going to use that now to develop the full business case to which Federal Executive Council will approve. And then we go to market. So the concession of the airport is topical. It's the way to go. If we all know what Lagos is like, Lagos Airport. Lagos Airport was designed in 1979 to look after 2 million passengers per annum. 2 million passengers per annum. Then they built the wing D and E only to cater for 200,000 people. Today Lagos is doing 8 million passengers. So where you have 200,000 people, a space of 200,000 people, you provided their toilets, their lifts, travelators, escalators, etc., and shops and restaurants for only 200,000 people. Now 8 million people are using it. That is the story of Lagos. It's just like I said yesterday to Tolu and Co, that you have, I think I was talking to Oge, you have a house, 1 bedroom, 1 living room, 1 toilet, and 1 kitchen. And you started as 1 person. Then you married a wife. She gives you 4 children. Then you brought in her mother and your own cousin. And you have 2 house helps. Then you marry because you're like me, you like to marry more, so you marry 2. And you marry 3 and 4. And they all give you 4 children in the same house. And he already brings his cousin and his friend. And then you're in Lagos, they come from law school. They're your cousin, they also come to sit with you. And so on. And you end up being 80 people in that house. And this is the story of the Nigerian families. Nobody can deny this. So 80 of you in 1 bedroom, 1 toilet, 1 kitchen. I bet you have to employ a plumber permanently to be able to be fixing all the flushing you're doing. So that is the story of Lagos. But happily, Mr. President, when we came in, we met an intention and a plan to put 5 airports. 4 from Chinese loan of $600 million total, and of course 1 from federal budget, which is the Enugu one. My first instinct when I became minister in 2015 is, why should we continue this way? Luckily, we haven't gone beyond 10%. That we should save our money and concession those airports and bring in private sector to put in their money. So we don't have to pay the interest, we don't have to carry all of the things that are coming here. But Mr. President, of course he has been there before he was head of state. He has more wisdom. He directed that no, we should go and finish all ongoing projects. Of course, like typical politicians, we are all thinking that, well, if we initiate our own, perhaps it comes in our name. But Mr. President said, no, go and tend to it, ensure that you finish it, because it is good for our nation, for our country. So we went ahead to start to finish them. Of course, we encountered lots of problems. Most of them, the planning was very poor. No sewer, no water, no power in all of the planning. And money has been sunk, and they have begun the construction. So we reviewed them, and happily we completed Port Harcourt and opened. We completed Abuja and opened. We completed Kano. Mr. President will soon open it. And Lagos is done. We have a few works we are doing to deliver it. And then we have a Dominion hangar and EES hangar that are obstructing our operations, which we have to remove soon and put Lagos to use. So we must concession those airports to make them better, so that once the traffic is moved to the new Lagos airport that will be open, then the old one will be closed, or at least half of it will be closed, and we tear it down and make it multi-level and put in a befitting structure in Lagos. Plus, we also have the intention we're working with Lagos State government. They have the red and the pink line of the rail coming through around Ikeja Airport, Ikeja bus stop. So we take it, run it through the airport, from General Aviation Terminal through to M2, all the way to International, to cargo and back, so that you stop missing your flight. Once you land, you can just hop on. Once the taxi takes you to Ikeja bus stop, you can take a train or air rail and go around the airport, and so on and so forth. So then leasing company, we've done all, we are now going to market. As a matter of fact, Mustafa, yeah, on the leasing company and the MRO, we're going to market. We've done the OBC, approved everything, so we've selected the people who won, and we're going to market. And all of these things we're doing, we want to ensure transparency. So it's on our website, and it's on the website of ICRC. Whatever we're doing, you would see it, we would advertise, and people come forward, and it's electronic, so there's no boju on it. Yeah, so the MRO, the leasing company, are there. Retropolis is in the works. This is where we're lagging behind, but we have asked that a master plan be developed around all of our airports to find out how we steward the airport, what it can do, what are the potentials around, what is the business that will chase there, and so on and so forth. I just have to run. The cargo, we are doing that. We should be able to achieve it before the end of next year, God willing. I talked about where we are in the with the university. So since we came in, we always run back to our stakeholders on these intents and projects and programs to conduct stakeholder conferences and have their buy-in. Now that I've spoken broadly, let me be specific on our agencies. And I will also be abridged. I will abridge them. I will be brief on them. I will start with INCAT. With the projector, you will see, and in your document, you will see We built 737 flight simulator building, and we acquired one at the cost of $21 million, and we put in Zaria for training of 737 pilots, because they are the majority in Nigeria, is the most popular airplane around this sub-region, so we chose 737 to do it. And of course, we have fire and smoke automatic simulator that we bought. One day I found myself approving $250,000 repeatedly to send our firemen to Cameroon for training, retraining, because with no fire cover, no airport will open. So fire cover is a tick for an airport to open. So it's a must that we should train our airmen. But we do it in Cameroon, not in Nigeria. So I asked, how much will it take to bring the simulator here in Nigeria? They told me the manual one is about 700 million. Yes, Captain Rabi Yadudu. But the automatic one that will do all kinds of fire, simulate all kinds of fire and quench it and hold it, is about 5.2 billion Nigerian naira. So I ran to Mr. President. I said, sir, Nigerians are going to Cameroon to get trained and retrained and get their proficiency and competency from a facility in Cameroon, which is manual. Please give me money to go and establish one in Zaria. And of course, he gave me the money, National Assembly approved, and we established fire and smoke simulators in Zaria. You see in the picture. We looked at the training in Zaria also. The training is using an old airplanes that are using aviation gasoline, F-gas, which is very expensive and not available. So we also again went to Mr. President, and he gave us money to start procurement of aircraft. We brought in 7 numbers so far, 1 multi-engine and 6 other that are single engine for training. And they are using Jet A1. We reduced the cost of training by about 30%, and they're all delivered right now in Zaria. Zaria also has some achievements. In 2017, ICAO Global Training Award for the highest number of ICAO accredited courses and the highest number of instructors training course in the entire world. In the entire world. In 2018, International Civil Aviation again, ICAO Global Aviation Training Award for the highest number of ICAO accredited course and highest number of instructors training course in the entire world. Also in 2019, ICAO Global Aviation Training Award for the highest number of trained instructors in the entire world. I told you that our focus is on safety, how safe you depart point A and B, and the best safety is a most well-trained, proficient aviator, either a pilot, engineer, cabin crew, or anything. That is the best safety. That is safety number 1. And that's why we're giving emphasis to this. When you receive the document, you see all of those pictures and so on that we've done there. I take the next sister agency, which is NIMET. NIMET is that agency that has been telling you about weather. You wouldn't know the importance of weather until when you decide to fly. Almighty weather, or you're a farmer, or you're in the high sea. You should be concerned about what weather is doing. Or you are a local government chairman and there's flood in your villages, washing away all those thatch houses and so on. So weather is extremely very important and it's a daily affair, and we develop some capacity around it. By the way, we have been giving weather information in this country since 1887. Since 1887. You see in the pictures how we've installed lots of equipment around and dotted the country during the Buhari administration. These are things that passengers don't see. It's very easy for you to see railway. It's also very easy for you to see roads. It's also very easy for you to see a school. But what we do that are in the bushes and remote locations, and the Buhari has been pumping in money there and energy, you don't see, but they work. But we have them pictorially and we have their locations, If you are very investigative as a journalist, you can visit those sites and see what they do. Very expensive equipment, very precise scientific equipment that we put around. How I wish you have the projector. You see all of them. Too very many from NIMET. NIMET collects marine weather observation data to understand the condition of the atmosphere and the sea surface in Nigeria's southern borderline, about 850 kilometers. You see the equipment that we have, the buoys and so on that we have in the waters by NIMET. We have a data buoy anchored off Lagos coast. It gives us hourly marine weather, and built into production of daily marine forecast. So we have daily marine forecast like we have in civil aviation. By the way, so many countries like Liberia, like Sierra Leone, they get their data from Asia and Nigeria. And it's for free, yes, Mazur? It's for free. Nigeria wants to be a big brother. So those West African countries are getting those information from us for free. We just trained some weather men and women in Gambia. I and Mansur went and for the graduation of the first set. And it's all for free because we want to look after our younger brothers to ensure no country is behind in this Buhari revolution. I wish Ogie have the opportunity to show all these pictures because they say pictures speaks louder than voice. So what are the certifications that we achieved under NIMET? Certification for aeronautical meteorological services delivery. So okay, we got this ISO 9001-2015 certified in July 2017. We are the first ever African country to have achieved this feat. The first ever African country. And NIMET also achieved ISO 9001-2015 version, which was certified in August 2000. Then ISO 29990-2010 in August 2019 for training services at the Regional Training Center in Lagos, and the first and the only African country to achieve this. We are ranked at the second best MDA by ICPC in ethics and integrity maintenance in 2019. We ranked the third best MDA with the most active and functional website in 2018. We received an offer from ISO, International Standard Organization, to serve as the auditor for other service providers in Africa. So continuous training on QMS, extending QMS to other aspects of our operations, annually conducting competency assessment tests, and commitment to ensure attitude and orientation change in our services. Then we have, Mansour, can I have those documents? We have what we do. We have seasonal climate prediction that we do and produce. And believe me, they are very, very important tools. We have some testimonies. We went to certain locations in Nigeria and we advised them on weather. Some respected our knowledge, humbled themselves and followed our advice, when to plant, what to plant, how to plant, for how long will the rain stay, when is the dry spell, when is it good to plant, when is the flood coming. So don't put your rice in this location because flood will come and wash away and so on. And a year later they came to us and we organized a conference. Some of you were there in the NAF Conference Center with testimonies. Those that respected what we said, they made bumper harvest. Those that didn't, they saw the consequence. So this seasonal climate prediction, we used to produce it in English, but we decided to now put it, into Hausa, for example. This is it. Into Yoruba, and of course into into Igbo as well. They are very important tools, and we don't joke with them because we have now even acquired the competency to reduce and downscale this system into local governments. And we're also now going down into your individual farmlands to tell you when exactly will that first rain drop on your land and when will it cease so that you can plan. And all of these are things that people don't see, but we do. And Professor Mansour, you put a lot in universities around the country, weather stations, in schools. So, 113 schools will put weather stations there. First to get the weather, and two to train our young men and women. And these are things that people don't see, but they're there, we've done them. I commissioned many of them. The one in Zaria, I commissioned it, the one in Katsina, I did the one in Enugu, I think I did, and so on and so forth. So we have a mobile app also that you can do all of that. That's, then I go to NAMA, Nigerian Airspace Management Agency. This is another big one. And also NAMA's activity are things that you don't see, you don't even know. You just don't care. You just enter an airplane, carry a bag, fight small on whose seat it is, get your seat and put your bag and land in Lagos and off you go to your house. But how that will happen, how you will get into Lagos safely, is all the activity of NAMA. Perhaps maybe I'll just, when I give you the document, you'll see all of the equipment that they've been installing all over the place. But I'd like to mention some out of the very, very many we've done. And I know the one that interests you, and that's what will be the focus. I know how you work, my gentleman of the media, is ILS category 3. Well, ILS is just instrument landing system. It's a radio equipment that you installed at the airport to tell you exactly what is the center line of the runway and where does it begin, the threshold. So that you put your airplane at the center line of the runway and at the beginning of the runway threshold to take advantage of the long distance of the runway and do the landing run and stop. It guides you to come in there. So in bad weather, in fact, even if blindfolded, once you can see the equipment inside, you should be able to guide the airplane and land at the center line and at the threshold. So, but they are at, maybe they are graduated, if you like. You have the category 1, the category 2, the category 3. One, efficient one, precise, accurate, but then it becomes more precise when it gets to category 2, and it becomes more precise when you come to category 3. And in 3 you have ABC, and the C version of it will enable you to land 0-0. So whether there is weather in Kano, Maiduguri, Lagos, bad clouds, even if the cloud is touching the ground, you should be able to land safely. So we put in how many airports, Captain Fola? The category 3 for now. For now we have in 5 airports, but we are going to put in 15, category 3, to be able to land no matter the weather, i.e. in terms of visibility, to be able to land there. We're also putting from NIMET low-level wind shear alert system in very, very many airports. You know, I think the ambition is to put in 22 airports, and I'm sure we've gone very far, more than 50%. To tell us if there's going to be a wind shear. That wind shear is a sudden change in direction and speed of air. And you know, because airplanes are designed to fly, they're like a rubber cup in a bucket of water. But their architecture, by their DNA, they would fly. But they're riding on air. So if you're riding on a road like a car, and if you go to where there is no road, a cliff, you fall. If you're riding in water like the ship, if there's going to be turbulent water or the water will split and open like Moses and the Pharaoh, you'll sink. So in an airplane, also, if there will be a break in the air, you certainly will come down. So, but luckily, God in His mercy, in His rahmah, He has given us the knowledge to create something that will tell us if there's going to be a wind shear. That is sudden change in direction and speed of air, which we ride upon. This wind shear is a causative factor for the Sosoluso crash. Yes? You're coming, you're almost touching down, and then the air changes direction and speed at once and quickly, and then you come down. So this equipment now we are putting them in all our airports. And we put in more than 15 to tell us when it's going to happen, so the pilot doesn't make an attempt to land. Will passengers see this? No. Will pressmen see this? No. Is money being spent to do it? Yes. Is it part of the performance of President Buhari? Yes, it is. So we are putting those category 3 ILS systems in all our airports. But then I must warn you, we will put yes, but the airline also has to put the equipment to interpret our own equipment in their own airplane. And the pilot will also have to be trained how to fly those category 3. So if we have cat 3 in Kano and somebody said to you, there's weather and we can't go in and say, but the minister said they put it yesterday. Oh yes, he said we put it, but does the airline have the equipment in their machine to interpret and go and do that 0-0 landing? Or is the pilot trained to do so? Okay. So Buhari had done his own. Okay? So the rest is to ensure that also the airline are doing it, which we are working with them. It's a business venture. There's so much that we can make them to do. But in the interest of safety, we will ensure that they're doing that. Installation of high fidelity Jotron VHF. Okay, these are radios in 21 of our airports and aerodrome for approach control. We installed high power, long range, very high frequency, which is BHF, radio in Kano and Lagos. Then we installed new category 3 ILS DME in 10 airports. So we already installed in 10 airports. Doppler, omnidirectional range DVOR in 8 airports. We upgrade and modernize the ATC control towers in Katsina and Zaria. We installed the Cat 3 ILS DME in Nigeria at Lagos and Abuja, already functional. We procured 2 ATC, that's air traffic control mobile towers in Lagos and Abuja, which we launched recently. The intent for those is not to replace the tower, is to ensure that once the tower comes down, we have a backup for any reason. Or where we need to go and do air traffic control and the tower is non-functional, we can, since it's on a truck, we move it to those places and do so. All to enhance safety. So, there are so many things here, really, and the pictures, because I didn't know that Captain Fola, you've done so much, but honestly, due to time, I'll just be jumping them. Category 3 ILS DMA Control Center, Kaduna Port Code, commission in 8 airports. By the way, the VOR that you hear about is nothing but radio equipment also, which is V for very high, O for omnidirectional, R for radio range. It tells you the location where that radio equipment is. And usually, since it will be in the airport, it tells you that this is where the airport is. So it brings you to the airport. So we've been installing many of them around. Then the total radar coverage. Contract for reconditioning of the total radar coverage system in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Kano, Abuja, Maiduguri, Ilorin, Obubra, Talata Mafara, Numan have been awarded, and implementation has commenced after many years. We've been abundant, but now we're bringing them so that we're able to see every single flying machine around our airspace. And then we'll be able to separate them so they don't collide, and able to guide them so that they go to where they intend to go, and also so that if there's any enemy we will be able to advise the military and so on. All those are being installed, and those are things that you don't know, or you don't see rather. Wide area multilateration implementation is going on for surveillance and air traffic management in the Niger Delta area. This is where we have these low-level flying crafts, helicopters and so on, and we need to know what they are doing. So we have put in money, President has put in money there to put this wide area multilateration for surveillance and control of low-level flights in the Niger Delta, and of course ongoing at 39 locations in the Niger Delta region. And security, also, and security. Renewable energy, installed power, knife aids on all this solar and so on you're doing. Well, thank you very much. Air to ground, upper airways communication, restored in Jos. That blind spot that we have there in the northeast corridor that people have been talking about, complaining about, has been fixed. Installations are also going on in the southern sector. For now, I'll jump all these renovation works that you've done to make, there is an abandoned property. They took it up, they did it beautifully, and it's now serving as an office. They're converting warehouses that we have in Lagos into nice offices for us. Well, let me just jump to AIB for one of time. AIB is the Accident Investigation Bureau. It is perhaps the most important agency under our supervision, but it is the most unreported. It's extremely important because they do the postmortem. They are the pathologists of civil aviation. If there's an accident, they go in there after the accident to tell us what happened, so that we prevent it from happening again. So they're very important. But their job is not to apportion blame, is to find out the reason and to issue out advisory. Don't do this, do that, don't do this, do that. If you do this, it will cause accident. And I will go to statistics very quickly. So Olateru, the total number of reports so far are 67 accident reports, but 48 out of the 67, 48 are under the Buhari administration. 48 out of the 67. Most times an accident happens, they take it, whether they investigate or they don't, whether they're trying to do a cover-up, whether there's any other political reason not to do so or economic or whatever it is, they keep the reports. We never see the reports. But we came in and said it must change. We must know what happened to Soliso. We must know what happened to EES. We must know what happened to Brito, and so on and so forth, to ADC and what have you. So out of the total number of 67 reports released, 48 of them are during this administration. And of course, spend a lot of money to do so. And so this is well above 60%. We have now acquired a lot of capacity. Okay. I said I should, but I told you again. I told you that if there were slides, I can just fly through them, but this is just coming off the top of my head. Please allow me, indulge me. Oh. I know I have a very, very boring voice, but bear with it for the next few minutes. I'm coming to the most interesting part. Please. No, very seriously. I take this AIB very seriously. We have the capacity to now download our cockpit voice recorders and flight data recorders, because you see, once an airplane is moving, every single thing is recorded. The trajectory, how it goes, climbing, turning, everything. What is the pilot saying? So if he's whispering about how bad his night was to his colleague, it will all be recorded. So whatever has been happening in that cockpit is recorded. In the past, once it happens, there's an accident, they go to look for black box, which is actually orange, yes? It's an orange in color. But because it's like a film, you go into dark and produce the thing, and they call it black box. So they take it to America. And you don't know what they do with it out there. And whatever they tell you happens is what you take. But now, Buhari said, no. we should develop that capacity in-house in Nigeria. So we create a laboratory, we bought all of the equipment, and we start to download. So we do our own accident investigation in-house in Nigeria here. And we build our capacity, our people are doing it, and you see the pictures, and they're there to see. This laboratory has given us an edge in the investigation of the recent Nigeria Air Force 203 crash that happened in Kaduna. It is ranked one of the best in the world after UK AIB and US NTSB. So after the National Transportation Safety Board of US and the UK AIB, Accident Investigation Bureau, we're the next in the world of capacity. So my friend is just not doing a physics there. Olacheru, he's working hard. So they say I should go fast. So let me go fast. We are an accredited laboratory for flight safety, flight data recorder, and cockpit voice recorder. So we can also sell our services. They're building their new headquarters. We have command and control center with their bought drones now. So if there's an accident before we get there, as soon as we get there, if the site is impossible to enter due to terrain or due to fire or whatever it is, they can fly the drone, map out the site, pick out the debris, see what had happened and so on before we get in there. Because sometimes these villagers, even while we are walking, we cordon the area, they will run. And AIB, they don't carry guns. So they will run and be saying, hey, see body, see a carpet. So before all that is done, we fly our drones and pick out what we want to pick out and go and analyze. AIB has grown, really. In March 2021, the Bureau was invited by Sierra Leone government to provide technical assistance for the setup of the Sierra Leone Accident Investigation Bureau. This has already commenced. This is the second time AIB Nigeria will be assisting member countries in the sub-region to establish independent investigation agencies. We did that to Gambia. Gambia, they always say we are the big brothers. Yes, we are. We have a mobile app, which is installed, and I will have to fly through this, your things, Oga Olateru. We're building all over the place for the offices and so on. The research reports by aircraft safety consult, pilot risk, climate, and aero tendency in the aviation industry, the relationship between overall factors and passengers in the Nigerian. And sorry, Fula, I jumped to that your controller pilot data link, which is extremely very important to reduce the workload on pilots and so on. And also the performance-based approach, where also we improve our operations, increase safety, efficiency, and so on and so forth that we're doing. We've spent a lot of money doing all of those. The buildings are here. Oh, fun. Wow, how I wish there's pictures. I'm sure you can see. Okay, the story of, the story of the Abuja runway that we closed boldly. I don't want to go into that, but you know it, you have it. The runway failed completely. The entire nation was asking us not to do so. We saw what we saw. We knew that it's accident waiting to happen. Lots of airlines were landing in those runways and breaking their landing gear, destroying their hydraulics, and so on and so forth. So I ran to President Buhari and told him, sir, I want to close Abuja airport. Typical of him, fantastic boss. He didn't say no. He just looked at me straight in my face and said, plan very well. So we planned it. They didn't believe it can happen. In 6 weeks, we gave our word. I visited National Assembly 7 times. They called me 7 times to say, it's impossible. I must speak to Nigerians to explain how it is possible. Nigerian Society of Engineers came there vehemently and objected, said it's not going to happen, and so on and so forth. And we became center for query at that time. But we took the bull by the horn. We knew it's possible. Council for Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria came with us. They believed we could do it. We did it. We delivered it a day before our due date. And we now have brand new runway in Abuja, enjoying all of it, and no accident, alhamdulillah. And in the process, of course, we rehabilitated Kaduna Airport. Similarly, we went to Enugu. I saw for myself, I'm not being told, During the last regime, they had wheelbarrow, with gravels and bitumen. And if the aircraft will land, they will go there. After landing, all of the holes that will create on the runway, they fill it with those gravels and bitumen, and then wait for another airplane to either take off or land, and they go and do the maintenance repair. I saw it in myself. And I went back and I saw a huge crater, about 10 meters, right at the middle of the runway. So I told President, sir, not minding that you are marginalizing U-boats, as they say, you aren't doing that at all. You've done so much for the southeast of this country, but you have to do again also. You have to give me money to go and fix Enugu. He gave the money, 10 billion, and we also delivered on time. Even though COVID came in to distort it, we gave it a renewed date due to COVID, and we achieved it before that date. And now we have one of the best runways in Africa in Enugu. Not only that, we've done quite a number of projects in Enugu, which later I will, you see in the documents, the pictures of how it's looking. So, we talked about the Lagos Terminal building, Port Harcourt. You know, Port Harcourt was reported as the worst airport in the world by CNN. A lady who said she's a Nigerian, I remember her, came and did program. I think that lady's name is Zen Arsha. And she said in Nigeria that civil aviation is so bad that they are doing tuke, lifting passengers from one point to the next and then join and pick like an Uber service. But civil aviation should be like that. Why not? You should hop from one place to another and take passengers. They do it in the US more than anywhere else. Perhaps she's not informed. Perhaps she doesn't know. But civil aviation should be like that. Should be from one point to the next. That's the whole idea of transportation. So from the worst airport in the world, Port Harcourt now is one of the best in the world as well. So from worst to best. Thanks to President Buhari, who came and met Interbao in the field for many, many years, changing and going back and forth. But we forced him to finish. He's like a 90-year-old man there. We forced him to finish the old Port Harcourt, and we delivered the new one to the glory of God. So Kano, Mr. President, will open it soon. It's finished. Lagos also. We will just remove those hangars and open Lagos as well. You'll see the pictures when we give you our document. Really, Port Harcourt was a sorry story before, you know. You remember when people used to go inside shades and tarpaulins and so on? Yeah. And the CNN came and said it's the worst airport in the world. But they haven't come back to say now it's the best airport in the world. They will report that. But I pray they go back and take another look. All the Oga Rabi Adudu, I'm going to jump all this fencing. I know they're very, very important because of security and so on. And the colossal amount of money being put to fence airports around the country. We're doing that. Calabar is there, Katsina is there, they're all there. He has put the pictures there. And all of the taxiways and the lightings, and we're putting, you know, we are collaborating with Lagos State to expand the Shasha Road to the airport, you know, and then the toll-free alternative from Shasha on the Ayeye Moto way to decongest. Because we want you to come to the airport as fast as you can, and then we're upgrading that other roads from A5 to New Tool Roads to divert traffic, and so on and so forth. I'll jump that, Yadudu Abeg. They're signaling me to continue. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and my friends, gentlemen of the media, I have attempted to run through this, and I jumped so many things that were achieved under Buhari administration. But don't go away without remembering two things. Please, if I have your attention. Number one, what we are doing in civil aviation is to ensure that you depart point A and land at point B safely, securely, and in the most efficient manner. So all of those things, including training of staff and capacity building, and buying and installation of equipment and repairs of runway and so on is all targeted towards that. If we do that, we would have succeeded in civil aviation. But the second thing is the passenger will not see this, of course, so will be underreported. So therefore, please do justice to us to also report things that we have done, and you can go and see for yourselves and then create a story. And lastly, if you are creating a story, please endeavor to have at least one professional that will guide you through. And we have a training program in Zaria to give you like a hint of what civil aviation is doing. Some of the media houses, thank you very much, you've been attending that. And the ministry also has sponsored some of these kind of programs to educate journalists, and media people in general to understand civil aviation and to report it accurately. Thank you very much.
Nobody to help you carry. I'm sure you will agree that has been a very comprehensive briefing from the Honorable Minister of Aviation. Now, let's go to the second part of this program, questions. We'll take it in this order. Choji Von. Choji Von, Reuters, Business Day, Tony, Dr. Anule, first four, please.
Good morning, Honorable Minister and all those with him on the high table. My name is Timothy Chodi from Voice of Nigeria. Compared to other countries of the world, air transportation in Nigeria is expensive. Is there anything government is doing to ensure that it becomes more affordable? 2, in the past, some airports in Nigeria were concessioned but later reversed. Is the Buhari administration doing something to ensure that this concessioning that it's doing now will not be reversed by administrations that might succeed it? And then lastly, I would like to also know whether the weather equipment the ministry is using is doing that in collaboration with the National Space Research and Development Agency, just for clarity. Thank you, sir.
My name is Felix Onwa. I write for Reuters One News Agency. I have 3 questions. Honorable Minister, do you have any plans to adjust the current quarantine requirements for those who are already fully vaccinated travelers? Secondly, any plans to increase the number of inbound number of flights and passengers allowed that are, because we now have more testings in Nigeria. And secondly, thirdly, any updates on the Emirates flights?
Honorable Minister, my name is Tony Aileme. I write for Business Day. Sir, I don't know when last you visited the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos. Part of that airport, especially the VIP section, is in a very bad shape. As you are leaving the country, the last place you rest, as we speak, the seats that people sit there, rain drops on those seats inside the airport. And if you now take a trip to what appears to be the gateway for VIPs, where you rate your VIPs, coming into the country or going out, you discover that it is an eyesore. Inside, the water from the toilet flows freely because the kitchen and the toilet are very close to each other. In fact, I had an experience, a Ghanaian visitor made a nasty comment about it. Please, I don't know when last you visited it and what are you going to do about it, sir? Thank you.
No, Mr. My name is Dr. Anule Emmanuel. I write for AFP, Agence France Presse. Or Mr. AFP. Yeah. Or Mr. I just wanted to throw more light on the planned national carrier. I didn't get you right when you said you were going back to council. I don't know that it is on this issue because the last we heard about this was the logo that you launched in the UK. I said the last we heard about it was the logo of the national carrier, the Nigeria Air you launched. Exactly. So can you throw more light on this? What happened? What went wrong, actually?
Thank you very much. Follow up.
Of the bridge news. I wanted to find out when is the follow-up, the time frame for the takeoff of the national carrier. What are we looking at?
Thank you very much. I will begin by answering the gentleman from VON. He said air transportation is expensive. What are we doing to reduce the cost of air transportation? Well, happily, like I said, Nigeria is a population of 200 million people, and all of them very traveling people. We love to travel. We travel even for nothing, really, in this country. I told you before that when in school, we collect our budgetary allowances and we buy ticket and we go to London. We're doing nothing there. We land and say, take me to Trafalgar Square. That's all we know. So Nigerians are highly mobile, some for good reasons, some for trading, some for friends and family, hospitals, schools, everything. So what we are doing is, first and foremost, to develop, as we've been developing, the infrastructure that will make civil aviation to function. And part of the infrastructure includes also the airline, to ensure that we put the right size, right kind of airline, private sector led, to be able to deliver the service. And once that is done, it will increase the availability of the service. And because there is more supply, it will help in bringing down the price. Recently, we've seen many airlines coming up. There has never been a time when the industry has grown. From the time President Buhari came into power in 2015, aviation grew to become the second fastest growing sector of the economy in 2018 from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. And in 2019, we became the fastest growing sector of the economy. The passenger numbers were driven from 8 million to 80 million in those 5 years. So the more you fly, the more the availability of those airlines to give the service, the cheaper the tickets become. So what we are doing is to try to liberalize and remove all of the hindrances and lets in the provision of civil aviation service to drive down the price. Recently, an airline launched and started selling tickets at 16,000 naira. I received complaints where a certain airline will charge you 100,000 naira to Kano. because of monopoly, because of the absence of people that can provide the service. So all these things that we're doing, better runways, better airports, better control, availability of avgas, this and that, everything that we're doing is geared towards giving the infrastructure that we need for the industry to grow, and once it grows, it will drive price down. Then concession was reversed before. I don't know of any concession that was reversed before in Nigeria. I knew that there was an outright sell. And the difference between the Buhari-led government and other governments is that they decided to go into privatization. Actually, it dates back to Babangida when he started commercialization and set up a committee called Technical Committee on Privatization and Commercialization, TCPC, under the leadership of then Alhaji Malam Hamza Zayad. And they decided to sell. But we are social democrats in power in Nigeria. We are not going to be selling public assets, no. We will concession them in such a way that we give it and you give us back after many years, and you'll be paying us fees as you use it. And you must make it better. You must tell us, make a statement that we hold on to, that we make them better, the facility, and then return them back after a certain number of years, and they remain with the people. So the people assets will not sell. Perhaps you are referring to the privatization of Abuja Airport, which was won by a company, I forgot the name, and they paid $10 million at that time, Joro Obasanjo, and it was given to them. They made no headway. They came back to government and said they are not doing, and the venture failed, and the $10 million was paid back to them. I want to bring up to the notice of viewers that something fundamental has happened and has changed. In the time when they were doing all those privatization and selling of government properties, there was no institutional framework. Today, the ICRC, Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, that has a sole responsibility of concessions wherever they are in accordance with the law. So everything that you will do, it is in accordance with the law and law of the land. So you cannot do them and reverse them. I'm giving the assurance nothing will happen to it because it's a contract and we're contractually obligated. Those that happened before ICRC had happened, and there's no law backing them. And those are outright sales. That's why when we know we are going for PPP projects, the day that I became minister, I applied to ICRC to send a staff to my office who is competent enough to guide us on the way these things are being done according to the law. That's why they've taken almost forever to achieve, because we are being very diligent about it. And they posted Mustafa Junaid, who is seated there, to my office, who is an expert, and he's been guiding us and be following step by step on those concessions. So the concessions will be in accordance with the law, and they will be for the better of our country. And whether we are in association with NASRDA, with NIMET, well, perhaps every agency of government has a relationship with another agency. But purely all of the works that we are doing are domiciled and have the capacity and competency within NIMET itself. If there's anything that we will associate with NASRDA, we do. We collaborate with all MDAs, and even those that you don't assume that we have anything to do with civil aviation. We do collaboration between us and agencies. But everything, all the competencies that we do need, and the equipment and the personnel and the money and the manpower, we have it domiciled in NIMET, and we're doing that. Like I said, we are cascading it down to your own farmlands. Now we're so far in the local governments. Then I go to Reuters. Whether quarantine, having regard to the vaccine, people that have done the 2 vaccines. This is a question that should go to Presidential Steering Committee, who are established for this purpose. I'm only a member of that committee. So I think we'll answer your question there. However, I agree with you very soon that we need to perhaps relax some of these rules because we do understand more the disease and its behavior, and we're doing every effort to curtail it. Nigeria has done extremely very well under President Buhari because so far we've just have about 2,300 or so deaths, while 2,000 people are dying in Europe daily. And so far in the last 1.5 years, we've seen about 2,000 deaths. And we haven't seen also unexplained death happening all over the place. Because they said that we are not testing, we are not reporting. It's not true. If we're not testing, we're not reporting, and we see that our graves are being filled every day by people coming with complications that looks like COVID. So it is that we are challenging this thing, we are up to our game, and we're able to contain it with the help of Allah. So whether we will increase the inbound passenger also is a question that we should go to PSC. And then also, what is the update on Emirates? I don't know how many times that I had spoken about this, but I'll speak again. And excuse me, I'm a bit dry in my mouth. So Emirates, we all develop protocols having regards to scientific understanding of the virus and what it does. Every nation produces some protocols on how to deal with them. Non-pharmaceuticals, that's keeping social distance or physical distancing, wearing of masks and so on. So Nigeria's protocol is that if you are coming into Nigeria, you must have a PCR test done within 72 hours of your travel date. And if that is done, then you are admitted into Nigeria, you are allowed to come into Nigeria. And day 8 after the day that you have done the test, you go and do a repeat test. And if you are negative, you are good to go. If you are positive, you seek medical attention. To go out as a Nigerian passenger, you should respect the protocols of the country that you are going, including those that you will transit through. Why did we choose 72 hours? Because we understand the virus scientifically to be a virus that will incubate, begin to show in your body at least 4 days after you contacted it. So between 4 to 14 days, it will show in your body. So if you test on day 1 and you are negative, certainly day 2, day 3, and even day 4 will be negative. So we say, okay, do it within 72 hours so that we're cocksure you are negative. At the time you are entering the airplane, you are negative. So we allow you to go. And upon arrivals, 7 days later, you do the test. So Emirates said, okay, they want us to do the PCR test within 48 hours of a flight. Come to the airport, even though you are negative, and the disease or the virus wouldn't have shown in your body until day 4, minimum, up to day 14, you do it within 2 days and come to the airport and do another test, rapid test. And after the rapid test, you enter the plane and land Dubai in 7 hours, still within 3 days, and do another test of PCR immediately after arrival. And then you go to your accommodation and do another test thereafter and so on. We thought this is unnecessary, it's cumbersome, it's not scientific, it doesn't add up, and certainly you'll be showing negative, negative, negative for at least 4 days. And we thought whether it is commercial in nature, because they have 3 frequencies a day, they come 3 times into Nigeria. If they take 300 passengers or 350 per aircraft times 3 is 1,000 passengers. If they're making $20 times 1,000 times 30 days. So we thought perhaps it's commercial. And okay, the amount of money could be up to $200 million, 200 million naira, for example. How many Nigerians are they employing? So they would have paid the salaries of Nigerians 10 times over in just 1 month operation for the entire year. If you go to Emirates today, you find that most of the people they employ are either Indians, Kenyans, Ugandan, and so on. You hardly see a Nigerian there. But that is not the point. We still indulge them. I say, okay, even if it's commercial, we agree. Almighty Dubai, heaven, we'll go. We'll do the PCR test 48 hours before. We do antigen test at the airport. We do PCR on arrival. We do test also after 7 days. We'll keep doing the test, no problem. We are ready to go. They said, okay, if you're coming, you must come through Emirates. You cannot go through Ethiopian. Even if they're cheaper, You cannot go through Qatar, even if they're cheaper. You cannot go through Turkey, even if it's more convenient for you. No, you cannot. If you dare do that, you follow Turkey, you must stay in Istanbul 14 days before you enter Dubai. Or if it's Qatar, you must stay in Doha 14 days, whether you have visa or not, whether you have the money to spend or not. If you pass through Addis, you must stay 14 days. Believe me, that I could also even have accepted on behalf of Nigerians. But the reason why I didn't accept that is because it is country specific. It is targeted at Nigeria. And it's not allowed. We won't take that. We are conscious of the fact that we are a huge market of 200 million people, traveling people. And this is one of the best routes that Emirates has. They have New York, Beijing, London, and Mumbai. And they certainly have Nigeria. We're paying a lot. We're building their economy. We're buying their houses, buying their cars, buying their gold. They take the gold out of Nigeria, go and make it, refine it, and make it into jewelry. We go there, we buy, we come back. A wealthy nation. We travel. Some travel for medicals, some for schooling, friends and family, tourism, to go and relax, enjoy Dubai. We're doing that. Nigerians are paying their dues. They don't employ us. And yet they are being country specific. If you are from Niger, from Chad, from Ghana, from Rwanda, from Namibia, from Trinidad and Tobago, from Canada, from London, you can go into Dubai direct. They cannot be country specific against Nigeria. I'm very sorry, I have to apologize, but this will not be allowed. We've been discussing, and I hope that they see reason and wisdom. And in international aviation, there's only, in fact, aviation, there's only one aviation. There's no aviation B. In international norm, practice, convention, and agreement, you cannot exclude me. You can't be country specific. No, not allowed. Not under Buhari administration, no. Then the next, he asked me whether I visited Lagos. Yes, I did. Recently, yes. I've told the story of Lagos. We are doing our best. Those are maintenance that we'll be doing. Recently, the National Assembly started leaking water. Right here also, this chamber also was leaking at some point where we are. So there are maintenance things that we do. But truly, Lagos is overburdened. That's why I took time to explain. There is an airport that was built, meant to be for 2 million people, but built for 200,000 people per annum. Today it is doing 8 million. It's impossible. It is like, I'm sure here we are about, what, 100 people, 150 here in this hall. And it's designed for maybe to accommodate 200 of you or 250 maximum in this hall. Imagine putting 10,000 people here. We'll only wander us through. That's the story of Lagos. That's why President has recently ordered and it has been released the 10.8 billion naira counterpart funding on this Chinese terminal to quickly finish the new Lagos and offload the passenger into that new facility that looks like Abuja, exactly the same, and then tend to the old one. It's our gateway, and we cannot allow it to be run aground. But it's been ignored since 1979 till date. We're doing some palliatives every day, doing this and that, fixing, but there's how much you can fix if something is completely gone. So we intend to break it, bring it down, and put it multi-level and give it a befitting status. If we go to market for the concession before we finish, the concessionaire will have to give us a program on how he's going to deal with Lagos. And yeah. So then the planned national carrier that I went to UK to launch a logo. I think it's a misunderstanding of the whole thing. There are air shows around the world. And these air shows are meant for you to showcase what you have and to access market and business and to gain visibility. Don't forget that the roadmap approved by Mr. President included national carrier. And for those who followed us from 2003 till date, Mr. President has been very passionate about national carrier. He'd asked the question, We used to have Nigeria Airways. Where's the airline? Where's the money? A certain president woke up one day and felt happy, and he went and put Nigeria Airways under lock and key and dismissed all the staff and left them with nothing. Years and years of previous regime did nothing. We came back and paid them their entitlements. And we said that we should establish the national carrier. Excuse me. So we don't want to go wrong. We've been very diligent about it. In accordance with the ICRC, because it's going to be a PPP arrangement, we got to appoint a transaction advisor. The transaction advisor finished their transaction advisory services and developed an outline business case, which we took to ICRC and got certificate of compliance. We wouldn't have gone to FEC. We would have gone to FEC after the full business case is developed. But because of the new instructions then from FEC, then why should they go ahead and approve something that they have not been part of? We should bring the business case. So we brought the business case to Federal Executive Council to deliberate upon, to change it, because it's an outline business case anyway, subject to changes, and get us approval. So in the wisdom of the FEC, in that document, we say that because one leg is PPP, one of the leg is public sector, and because it is a business venture, that we borrow money from central bank at central bank's terms and conditions as a business and invest in the carrier. Plus, among other people that will invest, strategic partner and Nigerians will reserve about 20% for Nigerians, 5% or less for government, and then we take a loan from central bank of $350 million. Initially, we give us $50 million, we start, and as we need, we take it on conditions and terms given by CBN as a business venture, and we repay back later. The loan has no bearing to the equity the government will decide to take at 5%, but we reserve it. We need that sovereign shoulder because for the airline to answer that national and drive opportunities and gain all of the chances that are there for a national carrier. And because we need to market the airline, because we needed the international visibility, because we needed to discuss with the manufacturers and the OEMs of airplanes and the leading companies around the world, they will converge in one air show or another. At that particular time, they converged in London for the Farnborough Air Show. And there are many air shows in the world, but typically the Farnborough and the one in France, Le Bourget, are the two notable ones. And recently Dubai is coming up. Why you go and sign orders of aircraft, why you go on and close deals, why you announce orders, you announce new entry into airlines. So we went to London to inform the world that this carrier is coming. And believe it or not, once Nigeria speaks, because of our market nature, because they know how much they make out of Nigeria, how much British Airways is making out of Nigeria on a daily basis, and Emirates and so on, they will listen. So to gain visibility, we want to launch the airline there. Not to launch to start, but announce they were commencing the airline, show the logo, to discuss the business plan, to tap the opportunity, to relate with those who are going to finance and fund it, to ginger and kickstart and whet the appetite of would-be investors. That was what took us to London. And I'm happy to say we discussed with the high and the mighty. We discussed with Boeing, with Airbus. We reached some agreements. We discussed with airlines like Qatar and many other airlines, all in preparation to create that needed carrier. And it's a step in the very, not only right, but correct direction. And we achieved a lot from doing that. It's been popularized. What's told was, we came to, like I said, to FEC, and FEC said we should go and rework it. There are divergent views in FEC, so they asked us to go and rework and bring it back. And suddenly we went to elections, and I thought it will divide our attention. So after the election, we came back, we were working the business case, and COVID came. But COVID became an opportunity. We saw the lapses, and we're using the opportunity and tapping on it. Now, at least the release rates are a bit down. Aircraft availability is more now than before, and so on and so forth. So we are on our way. Timeline, I did say before now, we will have this airline in 2022 by the grace of God, and we will start with the domestic and escalate into international. And we're partnering with so many. The airline industry is almost either or. Either Boeing or Airbus when you're talking about the wide capacity, high capacity, wide-bodied, multiple aisle airplanes. They are produced by either Boeing or by Airbus. We're discussing, we get the best deal for Nigeria and Nigerians, and for sure the market is there, and the business case has been out there in the open. You can access it on our website and the ICRC also website. You can look through and see whether it's something worthy or not. So yes, we are coming strong, and yes, by the grace of God it will happen, and yes, it will be proud for the nation and money honor. And just before the next question, I'd like to also say that all of this roadmap is intertwined. You have to have the airline to feed the maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility. And the MRO also needs to be there for the airline to take. The leasing company needs to be there to lease airplanes to the airline, and the airline needs to be there to provide market for the leasing company. So all of our roadmap is actually intertwined, well thought out and intertwined. Here you go. Yes, please.
Good morning, sir. Sir, in your explanation, my name is Hassan Umar Farouk. I report for Liberty Radio and Television. In your explanation about this AIB report, it was a bit ambiguous when you are explaining the number of accident reports, that 48 out of 67 reports were under Buhari administration, sir. Do you mean 48 accidents happened during Buhari's administration? Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, good morning, sir. Gloria Mezuke from Channels TV. I don't know if we should be concerned about the OBC. A member of the project delivery team, we understand, has faulted the outline business case, particularly in regard to labor issues. When you concession this, the airports, what happens to fan staff? There are thousands of them. Are they going to adopt them? And then, because we also understand after 2 years, the contract is that many might be let off. So can you just explain what happens and surrounding labor issues in this particular case? Thank you.
Honourable Minister, good morning. My name is Bolaji Ogundele. I write for the Nation newspaper. And my question has to do with something that flyers face every day in Nigeria. I want to know whether there are no penalties for airlines for wasting people's time, like canceling flights or delaying flights. One. Then number two, are there no reprieve for flyers or where they can complain when they feel they have been maltreated? For instance, you have a flight that was delayed, and when you get to, for a connecting flight, you want to take another flight. Most times with the same airliner, they will tell you that you have come late, maybe like for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You might have to not get to be flown and miss an appointment. I want to know these two ways, sir. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ralia Tadene. I'm from Classic FM and The Beat, Abuja. My name is Ralia Tadene. I'm from Classic FM and The Beat, Abuja. My question has to do with how much has the federal government intervened in the aviation sector so far as bailout fund for the for this during this COVID period? How much has been pumped into the sector so far? Then secondly, the local airlines indebtedness to the regulators running to over 22 billion naira. What have you done about it? Thank you.
Thank you. Those are 4, right? Thank you very much indeed. Am I being heard? Good. Well, so we begin with the one from Liberty Radio and Television regarding the reports that I said, 48 reports out of 67 accident reports that were released in Nigeria. 48 of them were under Buhari administration, which is a record 78%. These are reports, not accidents. These are reports that when an accident happened in the past, like I said, they either don't investigate or they begin the investigation and stop halfway, or perhaps they just put them in one drawer and that is the end of it. And this is not allowed in civil aviation. We must know what happened so that we guard against its occurrence in the future. Remember, people who are attempting to fly, they will put feathers on their arms and try to fly and fall and die. And they keep on putting structures, crafts in the air that keep falling and dying. So it evolved scientifically and technologically to where we are today. And we keep evolving to a point where perhaps we'll record 0 accidents for many, many years. And so we must know what's happening. And in the transparency nature of the Buhari government, we said that, look, all those accidents that happened, we must know why. We must know why Sosoliso crashed with those young children. We must know why the ES crashed, the Dana crash. We must know. It has many, many benefits, one of which to prevent it from happening. So 72% of all accident reports issued out in Nigeria were under this administration in the last 5 years, which is an achievement that has not been paralleled before. So it's actually report, not accident. Then Channels TV, PDT false OBC, no. The PDT never faulted the outline business case because in accordance with the ICRC guidelines, we are mandated to establish two committees to run and drive concession. One is the project delivery team, day-to-day running of the project to deliver the concession. And that has membership cut across a lot of MDAs, finance, budget and national planning, and so on and so forth. Attorney General's office, and ourselves, the MDAs, and so on. And to make it more transparent, we are not required by law to put label. But on my own as a minister, just in line with my boss's instruction to be transparent at all times, I said in a committee of 15 people, we should put 2 from labor, from unions, so that they are there to see what we are doing. We are not doing it behind them. And to also constantly upload the activity of the PDT on our website, on the ICRC website as well. So we delivered the OBC, the outline business case. Of course, again, in line with our transparency, we called a stakeholder conference and discussed the outline business case. And Labour raised issues, and that's what she's referring to maybe, that they are afraid of their job and job loss. And we promised Labour when we met that there is not going to be a single job loss. We are conscious, we are social democrats, we believe in the welfare of the people, and we are concerned about workers. That is why when they abandoned them by the previous regimes of Nigeria Airways, we came and paid them in our time. And when we paid those monies to Nigeria Airways, the country was in recession, was earning far less, producing less fuel, selling at less price, in recession, but yet we paid tens of billions of naira as allowances or as monies due, settlement fees for those airways, Nigeria Airways. So we said no job loss. And for further transparency, we gave Labour a copy of the outline business case to go and study. We also gave to Airline Operator of Nigeria. We gave to everybody that wants to have a copy. We made it public, and it has been public for the last 7 to 8 months. So that if there's any feedback, they come back to us, and we keep engaging them. And here is the reason why there wouldn't be job loss. And here is the structure in the outline business case for concession of airport. We did it in such a way that if the concessionaire comes, and we picked one, he will carry every single staff on his books and his payroll for 2 years. In 2 years, he will identify those that have the skills and the attitude to work in line with his vision and ambition, because he's a businessman, to engage them and take them to be his staff if they agree. If they don't agree, they remain fund staff. If they agree, they join him. Those that he does not want because they don't measure up to his business, they will remain fund staff. So no job loss. Reason number 1. Reason number 2, why there is no job loss. Fund now has about 8,700 staff. Out of them, only 1,134 are working in terminal buildings. Total terminal buildings of 22 or 23 airports, or 26. 1,334. Even those, about only 70% of them, which is about 800 people, that are working in the terminal buildings that will be concession in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and Kano. So those 800 are the ones we are talking about. And they will have the option to either join the concessionaire if they like, if they're competent enough, or remain with fund. And it will be there in the agreement that no job, you cannot fire anybody. You must remain at work. Third reason, because we have expanded tremendously. We're taking over Duse Airport. We've taken over Osubu Airport. We're taking over Kebbi Airport. Gombe has applied for us to take over. We're taking over the new Bauchi Airport, and so on and so forth. We need manpower to man these airports. So even if the entire 800 working in terminal building are laid off, we have airports to put them there. And, pardon me, part of the finding of ICAO also on us is shortage of manpower, especially in aviation security. And by the way, aviation security has changed. It is not my God. No, it is not. There are scientific ways now, using technology, to keep our airports safe. So there are competent people, brainy people, people with kids, they're into ICT and so on, that will participate in our AFSEC, aviation security. And Mr. President has approved that they bear arms and they have sniper dogs or sniffer dogs, the K9, and so many other gadgets that they use, high-tech technology, including drones, including CCTVs, including so on and so on. In our AFSEC, we are deficient and we will massively employ people. So you're needing manpower, how do you lay off? So, and we have told labor this, and they know it's a fact, and they know it is so, and it's been done in the world. We will not allow this infrastructure to keep dilapidating and not earning money. We will ensure that we give you the best of infrastructure, put it in the hands of the private sector who understand the business, run it and pay government and return back the infrastructure back to the people, because we are social democrats in power. So there's no job loss. We know so, the labor knows so, and the last time I spoke in Lagos, I said, if there's one job loss, I will stop the concession tomorrow. And recently, a private airport has been concessioned in Delta State, Asaba. Big deal. Somebody has taken over. He's going to give them better service. Even in Asaba, FAN will go there to provide security, fire cover, etc., etc. Air traffic control from NAMA will be given. And NIMET will give weather, and so on and so forth. And NCA will go regulate. You must notice that during the presentation, I skipped NCA. They've done tremendously, very, very, very well. Extremely, very proud of them. For want of time and because they are regulators. So labor issues will be tended to. There is not going to be any job loss. President Buhari has been creating jobs. He promised 10 million jobs in 10 years. 100 million jobs in 10 years. Is it? Oh, it lifted 100 million out of poverty. Excuse my mix-up. Out of poverty in 10 years. And we will not throw people into seeking for jobs because we need them. Because there's space for them. Because we're talking about only terminal buildings. Because they are only 14% of the workforce. Actually, 8% of the workforce that we're talking about. So they will remain there. And we will celebrate the new aviation after the concession. Then, when there are penalties for ailing passengers, there are penalties for ailing passengers, ailing airlines on delays and so on and so forth. I'll read them and I'll tell you what the problem is. There's also penalty for unruly passengers. Because you travel out of country, you go to Dubai, you go to UK, you go to US because you're afraid of your visa, because you really want to go to that promised land, because you're landing there, you're very afraid, you behave very well. You join the queue, you talk in tongues, you speak in tongues and so on, you tiptoe, you are well orderly. You come to Nigeria, you shout. One classical example was that someone came to me at the airport and bumped into me. Minister, look at the distance from here to there. We'll have to trek from here to there. Can't you bring it? Look. I agree with him. Given the chance, I should create a machine that will take you from the airport into your car. No problem. But do you know, if you ever fly out of Terminal 2, 1 and 2 in London, from the train, the amount of walk you walk, 5, 6, 7 kilometers to Tolu, Amina, you won't complain. You will walk with your luggage 5, 7 kilometers heading to your gate. In Dubai, if you have to fly out of the E-gate, I think it's E-gate, right? At the end. You walk like 4, 5 kilometers. Here you walk 50 meters, complain. We will do better. We apologize, we'll do better, for sure. But then, delays. The problem is, I think, we've been enforcing it, but perhaps silently, we begin to show how we are penalizing these airlines. And the passenger also, we also need to be more visible. When I came in 2015, I asked them to create an aero care unit. You put maybe an orange or bright green shirt or something so they know you're there. And you lay your complaint to that guy, and that guy will be competent officer. And all management staff would, at one point or another, be an aero care staff. So the passengers can complain, and their rights will be followed. We have displayed in airports, if you see them, because you don't bother to, sometimes people don't bother to read, but there, your rights are there displayed, and you can demand for those rights. I will read some of them. On domestic flight, sorry, just give me a minute. On domestic flights, delay beyond 1 hour, carrier shall provide refreshment and make one telephone call or one SMS or one email. So they should send you an SMS, I'm sorry we're delaying for 1 hour, or call you and then also give you water or fata. Delay for 2 hours, listen, delay for 2 hours and beyond, the carrier shall reimburse passengers the full value of their tickets. Delay between 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., carrier shall provide hotel accommodation, refreshment, meal, 2 free calls, SMS, email, and transport to and from the airport. On international, it also says all of the requirements. I remember once I was in Lagos, there was a delay in Air France. A friend of mine called me and told me. Immediately I went to Lagos airport. Air France had closed, they have left, and the passengers were stranded. I made sure that all the passengers are taken to Sheraton Hotel, fed, given refreshments, and brought back to the airport the following morning. Now, why the problem is partly our own fault. Like I said, we don't make the penalties known to you. And 2, we're weak in the enforcement itself. And 3, we have not made much publicity, even though we published these books are circulated, and we have made boards in the airport and displayed them to know your rights, and created the Consumer Protection Unit in NCAA. I think we should do more. We should do more from our side by making the people more visible, by going through the media to escalate and to make them know, and by having interaction with the airlines to ensure that this is being done and to punish them maximally and to name and shame them, among other things that we'll be doing. On your part, as passengers also, you must be obedient to the rules and regulations and respect protocols and what the airlines will do. We saw some passengers, they would go and damage checking-in counters and computers and smash them down, and they are very expensive computers, and they're talking to computers all around the world. If you smash one in Nigeria, it affects another computer elsewhere, and it's not allowed. Unruly passengers, by protocol, they are not allowed to board those airlines. And happily to say, when I became minister, we signed the document, and I took the document to ICAO to be the country that they needed to enforce protocol and convention on those unruly passengers. So Nigeria made the headline at the time because we believe in it. What are good for the geese are good for the gander, according to the Brodaya. So, so really, you also have your own role to play. So please do. And yeah. Then the next one is the question regarding palliatives and the bailout funds. So there was COVID that came at a time when aviation was growing and had become the fastest growing sector of the Nigerian economy, when President Buhari has increased the passengers from 8 to 18 million, when he has built several airports and commissioned them, and so on and so forth. And we grew, and we're growing, we're running at the speed of light. Suddenly COVID came in, and we're the worst hit. because airlines had to shut their businesses, catering, hotel, and so on and so forth that are operating within our industry shut down. We became worst hit. So in the nature of President Buhari, he constituted a committee for this economic sustainability committee to see how can the economy be sustained in the pandemic and post-pandemic, within the pandemic and post-pandemic, to see how we would do. In that document, we made presentation and representation. What we asked for, of course, we couldn't get because we are civil aviation, and there's so little. And there are other sectors like health, which you agree with me should make more. We presented and was approved as 22 billion as palliatives to be given, subject to availability of the funds and other factors. And it's domiciled in Ministry for Finance, Budget and National Planning. So they released the first tranche of 5 billion naira. And in that 5 billion naira, the ministry didn't spend the 5 billion naira. Neither did the parastatals. The parastatals ought to have a chunk of it because they suffered also most. But we are magnanimous enough to allow people doing business in civil aviation to take the money. So we organized them and they come up with a plan how to share the money. The airlines were represented, including taxi drivers, people in catering, etc., ground handling and what have you. The taxi drivers came with all the plate numbers of their vehicles, the registration number, the engine number, chassis number, and the name of the owner, and his telephone number and everything. Complete list through the association. We sat in a meeting with all the stakeholders and decided the formula to share. And in the airline, you will agree with me, we would not give the same money to Airpeace as we will do to Dana. Because perhaps Airpeace employs more people, carry more passengers, has more airplanes. So they brought the sharing formula and we gave all the money to them and they disbursed. So Twitter should shut up that the ministry did not spend the 5 billion and the minister did not share the 5 billion according to how he wishes. The stakeholders shared it and they took it. In fact, the service providers in our system, Fan, Nama, everybody, they say, oh, these guys are owing us. We should take the money that they're owing us from money given. We say no, but the intent of President Buhari is to ensure that he cushions the effect on businesses. Let us find a way of surviving and let them take the money. So we would have taken the money and left them with nothing, but we decided to give them and we stay with nothing. So this brings to the question on monies owed the passengers by airlines, which I missed in the previous question. It's not even 22, it's about 37 billion. Is it correct, Captain Fola? About 37 billion that they are owing, especially ARIC, the culprit. I know they are owing us about maybe 13, 14 billion. If you are owing government, they are owing fund. The Bakotni, that's the Babalaki, right? The Bakotni is owing, I think, about 40 billion as the last count. He's not paid a single dime from the time he started to run that terminal building. And we have not ceased giving him electricity, water, fire cover, and so on and so forth. He hasn't paid a dime for 13 years. And if we go to shut his doors, the media, of course, and Nigerian people will say we're killing businesses. But he's killing our services too. Because we have to have that money to provide for that toilet that you're looking for in Lagos Airport. So we have to earn money. Most of these are given by the IGRs, and so we need the money. But we'll go after the money. bailout funds, local debts, penalties. So I think so far I've answered this set of 4 questions. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Aviation. I am sure you will agree with me that this has been very, 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 very comprehensive. More comprehensive than we have perhaps had it. And we have this document that will be handed to everyone. It's a treasure trove. You can get news stories, features for 2, 3, 4 times from these documents. It may not do to just write one story and drop the document. There's a lot you can do with it. We want to thank... Oh, okay, there will also be electronic copy for everyone. Let me at this time thank the Minister for coming and for sharing this wealth of information with us. Let me also thank those who are in the team that came with him. Engineer Hassan Musa is a PAMSEC in the ministry. Mohammed Rabi Shehu is the Director PRS. James Odawudu, Director Public Affairs. Captain Rabiu Yadudu MD-FAN. Engineer Kinola Teru is the Commissioner and CEO AIB. Professor Mansour Matazu, Director General NIMET. He will tell you when you should fly and when you should stay in your house. Captain Alkali Modibo is Rector NCAT in CAT. Captain Musa Nuhu, Director General NCAA. Captain Folaki Kotu, our friend, MD Nama. Engineer Bayo ABS is Chief of Staff to the Honorable Minister. Mustafa Junado is TA to the Honorable Minister, and Yunusa Abdul Salami is the Desk Officer for PPP in the Ministry. I also want to appreciate members of the Presidential Communications team for the work they have done. Okay, thank you for doing this week after week. All members of the team, you are appreciated. And Colonel Alaita, you are also welcome. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We believe that when we call on you again, you will oblige us. Thank you very much.
I will oblige you by God's grace, and I will be craving your indulgence to have an opportunity to show a movie or 2.